Once again, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the Board of Supervisors meeting. Can everybody hear me out there? Yes. Could you please open the door and make sure that our microphone systems are working out there on the television? Are they working? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of quick house rules here. Once again, due to our fire regulations and courtesy to everybody, we're not going to allow anybody to stand alongside the walls. When it comes time for public speaking, we're going to have some type of access through there. So if you'll stand up, no more than 5 or 6 people at the rear of the room and waiting your turn to speak, that would really help things. We'd like to keep that down to 5 or 6 people standing at one time. So as one person speaks, they can sit down, another person can stand up. I want to remind everybody that our new board here is, we are not real experienced in some procedures, so you have to bear with us. We're quick learners. With that, please keep in mind the respect for the board members, the chambers, and of course you, the public. I'm going to be, as chairman, trying to hold fast to that rule as best I can. With that, will we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Vice Chair, I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ladies and gentlemen, prior to opening our meeting here this morning, we were in a closed session. I need to report out that during that closed session, there was 2 items. Report a conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, 1 case pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, Sub D, Sub 2, board action. There was no reportable action taken. Second item was public employment pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, Sub B, Sub 1, for the County Administration Officer. There was no reportable action taken. Okay. At this point, I'd like to have any announcement from the board. Supervisor Clapp, any announcements? None. Supervisor Mills? Supervisor Garamendi? No, sir. Supervisor Tolfinelli?
None at this time.
Okay, thank you, and I have no announcements at this time. At this time, we'd like to talk and speak to public comment. Please keep in mind, public comments will be limited to 3 minutes. There is a clock over my left shoulder. That's called a countdown clock. That'll give you some visual reference of when your 3 minutes are up. Ladies and gentlemen, please understand, I will strictly enforce the 3 minutes, just out of respect to you and other speakers. Thank you.
So, public comment. Any item of interest to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board and is not posted on the consent or regular agendas may be addressed during the public comment period. California law prohibits the board from taking action on any matter which is not posted on the agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the Board of Supervisors. If public comment is completed before the 30-minute allotted time period, the board may immediately move to the regular agenda. If public comment is not completed during the allotted time period, it will be continued at the conclusion of the regular agenda in order to provide an opportunity for the remainder of the comments to be heard.
Before we start, one quick comment. Ladies and gentlemen, you can elect to voluntarily identify yourself and where you live, if you will. It's not required. I would like to know who you are if that fits your realm of what you want to talk about. I just want to make sure everybody understands that. You do not have to identify yourself, but it's just common courtesy to say hi to you. Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Honorable Mr. Oliveira and honorable members, supervisors. Welcome to the new members, the Supervisor Board. I wish you well. My name is Mitchell Abdallah. I'm an attorney in Sacramento. I have 2 things to speak on. One is I have an appeal in front of you. I'm not sure of the line item, maybe 19 or 27,
23.
23. I have a conflict. I have to be in federal court at 2:30 this afternoon, and I suspect by the time the large gathering gets completed with their discussion with you, that it's probably going to be about 2:30 when my appeal comes up here, and I can't be in two places at one time. So I'm asking that you continue my matter to the next board hearing, which would be, I think, well, Diane would better know when the next hearing is coming up.
The next meeting that it would be most likely available for would be the February 14th meeting.
Correct. I don't see any prejudice to the client. He's already completed his grow, and so if you would consider that, and then I have another point to make after that consideration.
Okay, sir, what we'll do is we'll consider that after the public speaking. There's a chance for the first 30 minutes here.
Thank
Then
you.
we'll go out of order if we can and take that issue up on the agenda for the consideration. Is that legal, counsel?
The order of business is within the discretion of the chair.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you very
we'll do
much.
that. We'll
Then
give the public speaking opportunity for the next 30 minutes. and
I'll
then we'll
stand
address
by
your issue.
outside then.
Okay?
My next order of business, just to speak on behalf of the cultivators in the county, I want the board to at least consider four primary considerations in hearing all your stuff today. Firstly, medical studies have largely been debunked over the negative health effects of marijuana that have come out in the early
Excuse me,
2000s.
sir, is this pertaining to your agendized item?
No,
Okay.
this is, okay, just my comments.
I understand.
Secondly, understanding that a potential ban isn't going to be in place after today or a vote down the road, we would ask the supervisors to consider that a regulation is a good thing. If regulations continue to be maintained under an ordinance, an urgency ordinance, or a permanent ordinance, then you'll have oversight. You'll be able to
Point of order.
I think
Sounds like it belongs in the agenda.
I believe we're encroaching on that agendized item, sir.
Shall I?
Is there another topic you'd like to speak about for public speaking?
Oh, just the other 2 points I was going to make, but if you'd rather I not,
I believe that's agendized item. That discussion should take place during that time period.
Okay, I'm happy to defer those comments. Thank you.
Chair, I just have 2 seconds, excuse me, ma'am. I just wanted to object to moving that agenda item that he was just talking about to the beginning. He provided us with a brief yesterday afternoon. I'd like planning to have an opportunity to review it during the course of today before we get to that hearing. So if you could leave that agenda item at the end, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Well, good morning, new board of Calaveras County. I'm down from Ebbets Pass, Mike's district, where we're looking at 5 to 6 feet of snow. We have no power. We have water, but we have nothing else. My husband's stoking the fire and eating top ramen, but I made it. Best Western is doing very well for me. But I'm here this morning. Hello, Dennis. Dennis and I sat on the water board. He sat right next to me, and so I'm very happy to see him on the board. And I'm certainly hoping that we're establishing a real collaboration between CCWD and the Water District. We're here together. We need each other. My next thing, I don't know why they appointed me to this, or you appointed me to the Commission on Aging. I mean, really, you guys. I mean, that's only half of the county, but I'm looking at 5 districts right now, and in 4 districts, 5, Clyde Clapp, you're the only one that doesn't need a representative. We need other reps from the other districts. So please, whatever you do, help us find volunteers for the Commission on Aging. We meet the first Friday of every month at the link here in San Andreas at 10 o'clock, excuse me. So I'm vice chair, and our chair is Rex Wisden out of Copperopolis, and so we need volunteers. Other than that, my other issue is already on the agenda. So welcome, and we'll be talking to you, Manuel, okay? Bye.
Thank you, Bertha.
Good morning, Board. My name's Bonnie Newman. I'm from Double Springs, and I'm going to give you a little bit of information in very tiny increments so that you don't become overwhelmed. And I'm going to talk to you today about a program called In-Home Supportive Services, which has a very weird funding structure. We have 3 funding sources, and historically, you can see since 1973, this is the percentage of what each entity pays in their contribution to in-home supportive services. And it used to be 17.5% for Calaveras County. And then in 2008, something very interesting happened. The candidates for president at that time all decided to spend a day in the life. And for one candidate, which was especially important for me, they went to Contra Costa County and spent a day in the life of a home care worker. And that person was Barack Obama. Consequently, he was elected president, and 1 year later, home care was included in the Stimulus Act. You may remember it as the American Restoration and Recovery Act. And at that point, the Calaveras County's contribution dropped more than 4 percentage points. And you were able to enjoy approximately $60,000 a year in recovered funds through this action. Then in 2012, when the sunset clause ended on the stimulus money, the Affordable Care Act kicked in, and we began, Calaveras County began enjoying a 15.4% percentage, which is more than 2% reduction. And at that time, there was something set up called first choice options, which would have allowed Calaveras to put that money into home care. But we did not have a union that asked for that, and Calaveras County has been enjoying that benefit since that time. And this is just to kind of let you know what I'm expecting is a cut in that money, a cut in the state funding, and they're anticipating that the counties are going to be able to pick up that difference. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Right now, there's about $5 million going into this program. Calaveras is responsible for about $800,000 or $900,000. I'm anticipating that you may be getting a knock on the door to pick up the discrepancies that both the state and the federal government are going to be projecting on this program. Sorry to give you bad news, but that's what I think. Thank you for your time.
Our beeper didn't work?
And, you know, it's
Okay.
new.
Diane, you always did a better job than that anyway.
Silent beeper.
Marty Crane, Valley Springs.
You have to beep.
Sorry, you're just going to have to.
Okay.
First, I want to say that I went to the Million Women's March, and at least every third person I saw was a man with children in tow, and it was so positive and so wonderful, and everyone was there sharing what they felt was important in human rights, not just women's rights, but human rights, which is across the board. So I went specifically, I got a lot of things I feel passionate about, as we all do, but I specifically wanted to give a shout out to home care, because too many people don't realize what it is. Many of them, when I mentioned it, they say, oh, health care, and I go, no, not health care, home care. And so many people still didn't get it. And eventually, the MC of the event, after 3 speakers prepared to speak to 20,000 people, stayed with their script and forgot to mention home care. She said, she got up and tried to give a shout out and finally said, "Can you just come up here and tell us about it?" So I did, but the crowds had dwindled down from 20,000 to maybe, I don't know, 6,000 or 7. Who knows how many people are out there. It was massive. But anyway, so Calaveras County gave a shout out to home care, and I'm very excited about that. Today but that's not exactly why I wanted to speak this morning. What I wanted to say was that over the last 4 years, there have been many instances where our board, welcome new board, thank you, we're going to go in a positive direction. But I want to make sure that we don't accidentally repeat things that we've done in the past that have not worked out well. But many times, the board has stopped conversations and the dialogue that was necessary to actually develop government for and by the people. It was us against them, and us against them is a sorry way to govern. 3 votes on a Tuesday gets what I want. And that's pitiful. And I heard that on the sidelines. Hey, I know how to count to 3. Well, that doesn't work because that means that it's pitting everyone against everyone else. It should be 3 to 5 votes gets what's best for our county. This is not a political game to me or anybody else out here. You are elected representatives. We hired you. We elected you. That's how you got there. But essentially, we hired you as our representatives to process, be a sponge for information, process all that information, and take what you hear and create policies that allow for,
Ms. Crane, thank you very much. Your
positive
time is up.
and,
Ms. Crane, thank you. Thank you.
well, here we go. Don't you love that clock?
Thank you, Ms. Crane.
I'm going to let her get her clock squared. Good morning, and thank you for the clock. My name is Mary Ellen Souza. I'm a resident of Mountain Ranch, Cave City area. Welcome to my new representative, my new supervisor in particular, but to all of you. I have high hopes for this board, and moving forward, we have a lot of big issues facing Calaveras County, and so I'm hoping we can all work together civilly, as has been mentioned, and respectfully. I lived in Mountain Ranch for 10 years now, and I also am the director of a nonprofit that serves adults with developmental and intellectual disabilities. We are under the umbrella of a major university foundation. And so I live, work, play, and sometimes fight for what I believe in here. I wanted to let you know that just coming here requires me to cancel a standing conference call that I have every Tuesday. I have to leave 6 people and move them in order to be here. It does not make me any less passionate about the issues facing my neighborhood, my town, my county. It means I have to earn a living. And I love what I do, so that's not a sacrifice. But coming to these meetings is. I can't stay all day today. I've got 2 hours and only 2 hours. And I just want to offer a suggestion moving forward, especially to Mr. Garamendi, and that is that the Thursday afternoon in the middle of the day, 1 hour, come meet your supervisor at the town hall might work for some folks. It certainly doesn't work for me and a lot of others that I know. My suggestion is that we consider periodic town hall meetings throughout the county, and in particular in my own town, Mountain Ranch, because some seniors, some folks with disabilities, some working folks can't get to these other forums readily. And the town hall kind of experience has proven really useful, I think, to create constructive dialogue. It certainly has worked for communication amongst parties that are passionate about a lot of issues facing our county, whether it be the post-Butte fire recovery experience, whether it's the beetles and the bark and the trees, or of course the marijuana. So given those big issues, I would really ask you to consider that type of a forum where people can actively engage, especially with leaders such as our Board of Supervisors, our sheriff, our DA, law enforcement, community leaders, and such, to make sure that all voices are heard. That's been a big concern of mine over the last 2 years in particular, that all voices are not being heard. And the reason is there's not always a mechanism to do that. So again, I would volunteer to help publicize that in my town. I don't think you have to do all the work. We're here to support you because you're here to represent us. And I just want to invite that collaboration, and I really look forward to a productive session ahead. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for the clock, too.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name is Raymond Smith. I'm from Valley Springs. I would also like to speak to the in-home support service program, and that when that does come to your table, that you do take consideration to the quality of life and the well-being of all those that are involved in that. And that involves not just the people that are served by that program, but the caregivers who are providing services in that program. Personally, I've been involved with 4 years of medication assistance and caregiving in assisted living and memory care with Atria Senior Living. And I've also been a medical marijuana caregiver for over 12 years for my mother. So I do greatly support the services and provisions that are given to caregivers, and there's a little bit of research from the National Library of Medicine, National Institute of Health from 2008. There's a study which predicts the health effects of caregiving. This is research finding that older caregivers, people of low socioeconomic status, and those with limited support networks report poorer physiological and physical health than caregivers who are younger and have more economic and interpersonal resources. Given that caregiving can be detrimental to health, it is appropriate to investigate what aspects of caregiving experience account for these effects. Negative caregiving outcomes due to factors surrounding memory care and specifically dementia. There are health risks associated with that, and I believe that should warrant some investigation before you just write off that we should not invest in this program. We should absolutely invest in this program and investigate why these services are so important. Recently, researchers have focused not only on providing care as a cause of distress, but also the caregiver's perception of how much the patient is suffering. Also, to speak on a caregiver for medical marijuana, we provide not only services for personal care and the health and the housing and the safety of the individual, but we provide the marijuana for the individual, the medicine. We actually institute the program. We figure out how much medicine and what kind of medicine the patient needs, whether it's an antiemetic medicine, whether it's a pain medicine, those sort of things. And all of that takes a lot of time and a burden on our personal lives. And personally, I have.
Sir.
Yes, I understand where that's headed. I understand where that's headed. Yes.
Stay with that.
But I have. I'm a dishwasher in Murphy, so I do work full time. I might not be here all night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, supervisors. Dina Morris. And I just want to say I really like the new clock. I think it's great that we can see the time up there and know when we need to step away from the mic. So thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Supervisors. My name is George Fry. Several people have already spoken about the in-home services. I serve on that committee. I've been on it about 4 years. And as you can see at the top of today's agenda, it's there on every agenda. It shows that the in-home supported services public authority is the responsibility of the Board of Supervisors. And I'm pointing it out to you. You already probably know that. You see it on the agenda. But because you're all new, I would encourage you strongly to take the time to come to one of our meetings. It's the last Monday of each month at 10 o'clock. And it's held in the senior center in one of the conference rooms, and so that you can get an idea of what we do. We aren't just a committee that sits on our hands. We have over 300 people that are being cared for in their homes, and we have some serious issues going on. And we would like for you to continue to support us. So that's the reason why I'm sharing this information with you today. And I see later on the agenda that you will be making appointments to committees. So I hope somebody will step up and be on our committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fry.
Good morning. My name is Susan Galvin. I'm now president of the Mountain Ranch Community Club. However, I'm really here on my own behalf rather than as their representative. I also served on the board of directors of Calaveras Recovers after the fire, and my husband and I manned the trailer in Mountain Ranch for 40 hours a week for 9 months. So I've had close contact with people from all aspects of our community. One of the things that I've discovered or realized is that our community has already been completely transformed by the fire, by the aftermath of the fire. We've lost approximately half of our population in the fire zone. And so we're looking at a community that needs to recover and to rebuild. And so in response to what the woman was talking about earlier, the Mountain Ranch Community Club and the Resource Center Youth Alliance are joining forces to create a community conversation. And this conversation will take place on President's Day, Monday, February 20th, at the Town Hall in Mountain Ranch. It's a structured 2-hour conversation. We're inviting everyone, especially in District 2, but throughout the county to come who's interested. It is not about political issues. It is about our community life and all the changes that we've been through, all the feelings that have come up around that, and what kind of vision and path can we create for our future. It's a structured conversation. People will be meeting in small groups, so everyone has a chance to have a voice. And then we will see where we go from there. But the plan is to leave with action steps so that we can actually collectively begin to rebuild what we value most in where we live. So I have some flyers if anybody here is interested. And Jack has said that he will do his best to be there. If you have any questions, I'll be here throughout the day and happy to respond. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further comments? Public speaking? Public comments? Seeing none, we'll go to our next item. Madam Clerk?
The consent agenda. Consent agenda items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member, staff member, or interested party may request removal of an item from the consent agenda for later discussion.
Any comments to pull any item from the consent agenda from the public? Any items on the consent agenda to be pulled by the Board of Supervisors? By staff? I would entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Public comment?
Sorry, I don't know who made the motion or the
Oh, I'm
second.
sorry.
I moved it,
Thank
Supervisor.
you.
And I
Supervisor
sec- Go ahead.
Tofinelli made the motion, seconded by Supervisor Mills.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Call for the vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by saying no. Motion carries unanimously. I'm going to go to the regular agenda, but I do need to deal with an issue that was brought before the board on a request on item number 23. We have heard from a request by the appellant counsel and by county counsel in regard to this item. I'd like to poll the board on whether or not we should consider continuing this matter. Any comments by the board?
The chair staff has asked that we keep this at its location on the agenda for reasons that they have given, and I would prefer that we leave it there.
Okay. Supervisor Mills?
I concur.
Supervisor Garamendi concurred, Supervisor Mills?
I'll agree.
Sir, the agenda item will remain as stated on the agenda. It'll be item number 23 heard today.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, regular agenda.
Item 15 is from the Board of Supervisors to assign members of the Board of Supervisors to various committees, commissions, and boards pursuant to FPPC Regulation 18705.5 to CCR Section 18705.5.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those folks not familiar, this is the Board of Supervisor Committee assignments to various committees and JPAs that involve our Calaveras County. This may be somewhat of a lengthy process, but please keep in mind that this is assigned and directed by the board to the board. We've got several openings on several committees, and we're going to go as listed here, committee by committee. Oh, hang on a second. Excuse me a minute.
The ones that are highlighted with yellow are last year's assignments.
Okay.
The one that has highlight with pink at the top is a blank form for you to keep track of who is assigned where today.
We'll start with Area 12 Agency on Aging. It's a JPA, Joint Powers Agreement. That's what that stands for, folks. In other words, we're entering into agreement with these agencies as a county to represent on those boards. Last year was Kearney as the representative. The alternate was myself, Michael Oliveira. This year, I'd entertain any board member volunteering to be a representative for discussion. Any board member volunteering for that?
I'll take that since I'm the senior old guy going.
Okay, we have, excuse me. Supervisor Clapp has indicated he wants to sit on as a representative on that board. Is there any opposition to that? Okay, we need to select an alternate for that board. Anybody want to? I'll volunteer for the alternate on that board. Next will be the Calaveras Amador McCollum River Authority.
I'd be interested in that, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Garamendi is interested in being a representative. Any opposition to that? We need an alternate for that.
Coming from the Water Agency, I would like to be the alternate.
Thank you, Supervisor Mills. Next committee would be the Calaveras Public Power Agency, commonly called the CPPA. We need one board member as a representative and one alternate. Any volunteers for that?
I'll volunteer to do that.
Thank you, Supervisor Tofinelli. And the alternate for that? Any volunteers?
I'll be the alternate.
Gentlemen and public, just to let you know, if we don't have any volunteers, the board chairman's going to assign it. Next will be the Central Sierra Economic Development District, and I currently sit on that board. If there's no opposition, I'd like to remain on that board. We do need to assign an alternate. Anybody interested? Okay. Any opposition to that, supervisors? Next, we have the Central Sierra Child Support Agency. It's a JPA. I currently sit on that, and I would like to remain if there's no opposition. Any problem with that? We will need an alternate for that.
Chair, there are 2 representatives and an alternate.
That is correct. I stand corrected. Thank you, Madam Clerk. We do need another representative. Any volunteers?
Oh,
And we need an alternate for that. Any volunteers for an alternate position?
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you. Next is our Central Sierra Resource Conservation and Development. We need 1 representative for that.
I'll take it.
Okay. Supervisor Clapp. Need an alternate for that.
I'll do it.
Tofinelli, thank you, sir.
My favorites are further down the list.
Children and Families First Committee. This is designed after Proposition 10. Any volunteers for that? Okay. Thank you, Supervisor Garamendi. And I need an alternate for that? We'll assign that later. Calaveras Mariposa Community Action Agency, the CMCAA, it's a Joint Powers Association. Any volunteers for that?
There's 2 positions on there.
There's 2 positions for that,
Yes.
that's correct.
I formerly sat on this, so
Continue.
I'll be one of them, since I know what's going on.
Thank you, Supervisor Tofinelli. Any other, we need to fill a second position?
Mike, you were on that before.
Yeah, I was. I will go ahead and take that second position. We do need an alternate.
You can put me in as
I'll assign that later then.
I can do it.
You want to do that, Supervisor Mills?
Your microphone. Can't hear anything.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're working on new microphones too.
So Supervisor Mills, you
Yes,
took
sir.
alternate?
Is the alternate. Next is the California State Association of Counties, CSAC. Just to give a little history, we had to designate a representative prior to the end of the year, which the prior board elected me to retain that position. I would like to retain that position as the representative, but we do need an alternate for that. If there's any opposition to me retaining that position?
Chair, I attended the board meeting as well to observe, and I thought it was very useful. I'd be interested in being an alternate.
Okay. Supervisor Garamendi would desire to be the alternate on that. Any opposition from the board? Any problem? Thank you. Next is our Calaveras County of Governments, what they call CCOG. It's a Joint Powers Agreement. We need 2 representatives for that from Calaveras County Board of Supervisors. Anybody want to,
I was previously on this, and I would like to stay on it, or return to it.
I would like to be on it as well.
any opposition to Supervisor Tofinelli and Supervisor Mills being on that?
And you need an alternate.
And the alternate, any interest in that? I'll go ahead and take the alternate. The debt advisory, I'm sorry?
Is Jack alternate on that one?
No, Jack.
Mike.
I'm the alternate. We have the debt advisory committee. That's an in-house Calaveras County. I sat on that committee, but I am going to give the opportunity to another supervisor.
My favorite.
And
I'll
I was
take
just
it.
going to say, maybe the
I'll take
Supervisor
it.
Mills might like that.
Do you want to be an alternate on that one then?
Alternate, Anybody want to, I wouldn't mind being the alternate, but no one else. Next, we have the Fish and Game Commission. One representative and one alternate. Any volunteers for that from the board?
I'll volunteer for that.
Okay. Any opposition? Madam Clerk, Hardwood Advisory Committee, is that still an active committee?
It is, but did you name an alternate
I'm sorry.
to Fish and Game?
We do need an alternate for Fish and
Thank you.
Game. Anyone interested in Fish and Game alternate?
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Tofinelli?
My understanding regarding the Hardwood Advisory Committee is that they do not meet often. They meet very, very, very rarely, like maybe once a year if they can get a quorum. So that's what I know about the Hardwood Advisory Committee.
Any volunteers? You guys want arm wrestle for it?
No.
Well, there's two
There
positions.
needs to,
Well, there's two positions, okay, great.
So we have Clapp.
Supervisor Clapp and Supervisor Mills. Any opposition there?
Need an alternate.
Need an alternate for that?
I'll answer it.
Okay, thank you. The IHSS Advisory Committee, and that's an ex officio member.
I would have a conflict, I can't.
Okay. We do need an alternate for that.
I'll be the alternate on it.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Tofinelli.
Who's the ex officio?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Who's the ex officio?
I am George.
Oh, thank you.
The Juvenile Justice Coordinating Council, I had that committee last year. I understand that now we have a new juvenile facility, so that committee may or not be active. If it's okay with the board, I'll go ahead and continue on that, but that committee may be inactive. I need an alternate for that. Okay, Supervisor Clapp. The Law Library Trustee, I believe that's chair position, isn't it?
Yes,
It is,
And vice chair is the alternate?
yes.
yes.
Local Law Enforcement Block Grant Advisory Board, that was a committee I was on. Any opposition to me remaining on that board?
I would like to be the alternate.
Okay. Any opposition to? None. Okay.
Who's going to be the alternate? Thank you.
Supervisor Mills. Local Area Formation Commission, LAFCO.
I would like to be on it. I've been attending for over 3
Okay,
years.
there is two
Need you to
positions.
speak up.
All right,
Thank you.
there's two positions available, plus one alternate. I currently serve on that board. I'd like to remain on that board.
I would love
I
to.
would like to be on that board also.
Okay.
I could be an alternate if that would work.
Would that work, gentlemen?
I could be an alternate
Okay.
if that would work.
All right.
Thank
I
you.
really need you to speak into the microphones, because if I can't hear you, I know nobody else can.
Okay, so on LAFCO, it's going to be Supervisor Oliveira and Supervisor Tofinelli, right?
Right,
Talking.
And then with Supervisor Mills as the alternate?
correct.
That's good with me.
Okay. Mental Health Board, one position and an alternate.
I'll be interested.
Supervisor Garamendi, any problem, gentlemen?
None.
Okay, and the alternate?
I'll take it.
Supervisor Clapp, thank you. McCollum River Association, one position and an alternate.
I'll take it.
Supervisor Garamendi, thank you, sir. Alternate?
I could take the alternate.
Supervisor Mills, any problem?
No, I think that's good.
McCollum River Watershed Ad Hoc Committee. Madam Clerk, I understand that these might be the same memberships
No, they're
as
not.
listed as previously? Is that what happened?
Not that I'm aware of.
No, they're not.
They're not.
Okay.
However, the ad hoc committee is running out of time, so it may not be a long-term decision.
Okay. Would Supervisor Garamendi and Supervisor Mills, would you consider being on that committee also?
Sure. Yes.
Any problem, gentlemen?
It does show 2 board reps and an alternate.
That's right. So we're going to put Supervisor Mills and Supervisor Garamendi as the board members, and we'll need to designate an alternate. Gary?
Gary's got a little bit of the river.
Who's the alternate? Supervisor Tofinelli.
Would you rather do it, Clyde?
The Motherlode Job Training Agency, I was the alternate. I'd like to remain as a member on that, if there's any problem with that, gentlemen.
None.
And I'll need an alternate.
I'll take it.
Supervisor Mills, thank you. Any problem, gentlemen? The Mountain Counties Air Basin, I served on that committee also. If there's no opposition, I'd like to remain on that committee. I will need an alternate.
I'll do it.
Supervisor Tofinelli, thank you. Mountain Counties Water Resource Agency. Supervisor Mills, do you think you might have some experience in that area?
I'll take it.
Any problem? I do need an alternate.
That would be a good one for you. I'll be on it. I'll be the
Okay.
alternate.
Supervisor Garamendi. Okay. Mountain Valley Emergency Medical Services, JPA.
I'll sit on that.
Okay,
I would like to be an alternate then.
okay. All right. Mass Association of Counties, NACO. I sit on that currently. I'd like to remain on that committee, gentlemen, but we do need an alternate.
Alternate.
Okay. Supervisor Garamendi, any problem? Regional Council of Rural Counties, RCRC.
So could I just add a comment at this point?
Yes.
Prior to the last year or so, I believe that the next 4 positions, which are reps to RCRC, were technically the same person for each of those 4. So it would be
That's what I was thinking. Thank you very
RCRC,
much.
it would be the Local Government Finance Authority, which is part of RCRC, it would be Environmental Services JPA, which is part of RCRC, and the Rural Home Mortgage Finance Authority, which is part of RCRC. So you would need 1 representative and 1 alternate.
For all of that. Mr. Chair, I attended the meeting last week. It was pretty clear. I mean, they're all the same meeting.
Okay.
I concur.
So for all 4 of those positions, we'll be the same representative then? Okay. I'll entertain any,
Chair, I'd be interested in that, Joe.
Supervisor Garamendi's interested in that position as a regular representative. Any other? Okay, then we'll go ahead and assign that to him. I need an alternate. Any volunteers for that?
I'll be an alternate for it.
Okay, thank you very much, Supervisor Tofinelli.
It's not that bad.
And there is an event the 27th that I have to give you a ticket to. The Sierra Nevada Conservancy. Any volunteers for that?
Be interested in that, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Garamendi has volunteered. Any opposition? Need an alternate for that? I'll assign that one too. Solid Waste Task Force. Any volunteers for that? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and volunteer for that, if that's okay for everybody.
That's fine. That committee doesn't meet regularly, though.
Right.
They do now.
They do now?
They do now.
Do they? Because I think the charter says they meet only once every 5 years.
They're only required to meet once every 5 years, but they have been meeting on a regular basis, I would say at least every other month.
I'll take the alternate to that.
Okay, and that would be Supervisor Mills as the alternate. Any opposition? Treasurers Oversight Committee, I served on that.
I will gladly
Thank
take
you
that.
very much, Mr. Supervisor Mills.
So Mr. Mills is taking? Okay.
Mr. Mills is volunteering for that position. Would you like that position?
No,
Okay.
Wanted to make sure.
Just want to make sure, Gary.
Well, you spoke up and said you were on it, and then.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm giving it up.
Okay. You want to be an alternate?
My plate is that big right now. Would you like to be alternate on that, Supervisor Tofinelli?
I'll be alternate.
Okay. The UC Cooperative Extension Advisory Council.
This
One
one is the
position?
chair and the vice chair.
Chair and Vice Chair. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And the Upper Mokelumne River Watershed Authority, the UMRWA. It's a JPA.
Now, this might sound kind of weird, but I've been very involved in that, so. But I will defer. I will defer and take the alternate.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, who was which?
So it's going to be Supervisor Garamendi is going to be the representative,
Thank you.
with Supervisor Mills as the alternate. Gentlemen, I think that's a record. We filled all the committee positions.
We have two
No
alternates.
fist fights or anything. That's really good.
We have
So,
two
Chair-
alternates.
Oh, two alternates I have to assign. Huh?
Three.
To assign, there's
Okay,
three.
let's go down to Children and Family First Committee, Proposition 10. Do I have any volunteers for the alternate position?
It's kids, guys.
Kids, guys. Who's a kids guy?
Who wasn't a kid? I'll go.
Okay, thank you very much, Supervisor Clapp. Then next I have the Sierra Nevada Conservancy. I need an alternate for that. Supervisor Garamendi is a representative.
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Tofinelli.
And I think that the third, if I'm not mistaken, is is for CAMRA, the Calaveras Amador Mokelumne River Authority. Why we're required to have one representative and two alternates, I'm really not sure. It's the third one at the top.
Yes, and I would like to take that simply because of my background in it, but,
You're already the alternate,
okay.
so it's saying that we need a second alternate, an alternate.
I'm sorry, where is that located at, Madam
The
Clerk?
third, it's the second item at the top.
Right down top
Okay.
there.
So we need a second alternate to that? We have-
There's nothing in their bylaws that require that, so
Yeah,
I'm
I
not certain what
I don't
that's
think we
about.
need to do anything with that.
Okay.
I would,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just leave it
So
alone.
right now we
Serve on
have
that committee
Supervisor
before.
Garamendi as a representative
Right.
and Supervisor Mills as the
The
alternate.
alternate, yes.
Does that fill all the vacancies, Madam Clerk?
That's what I show, yes.
Okay, now you will report these out and notify our individual supervisors of the
I
meeting
will.
times?
I will send you a typed
Sierra
list.
Nevada Conservancy is Jack
Is there any
Gary.
public comment on this issue?
I apologize for keep jumping up, but I want to thank Supervisor Garamendi, and I want to thank Supervisor Clyde Clapp. The next in-home supported services meeting is next Friday, the 30th of January. It's at 10 o'clock, and it will be in the Senior Center Conference Room.
That's next Monday, correct?
I mean, next Monday, yeah, sorry, thank you.
Okay.
So I look forward to working with both of you.
What room is that?
It's in the conference room, if you go in the front door, it's off to the left,
In the senior building?
in the senior building. And I'm also on the Area 12 on aging. And so, and I go to the Joint Powers Agreement, Joint Powers meetings as well, so, and that's represented by 4 counties, Amador, Tuolumne, Mariposa, and Calaveras. So thank you very much for stepping forward.
Thank you, Mr. Fry. Any further public comment? Okay, Madam Clerk, our next item agenda.
Let's see, item 16 is from Human Resources. The Human Resources and Risk Management, in collaboration with the Health and Human Services Agency Director, is recommending that the Board of Supervisors approve the initial placement at Step E for the Business Administrator position.
Judy Hawkins, Human Resources and Risk Director. Good morning, Board. I am bringing to you a recommendation or asking you to approve a Step E for our Business Administrator for our Health and Human Services Agency. The business administrator position has been open since June when Jane Carter retired to go and paint beautiful pictures. And this position is a critically needed position, and it is a very difficult position to fill. We have held several interviews for it. We have made several offers. The offers ended up being turned down due to the salary, even in some cases after we offered to bring it to the board at a step E. So with it being such a critical, needed position, we found a candidate who has 22 years of experience, the critically needed experience that we need for this position, and we would like to make sure that we can attain this candidate and keep her. So we are asking you to approve the step E. Any questions?
Any questions of the board? Board have any comments, questions?
I do have Kristen here if you have questions about the candidate.
I'm good. I'm good. Everybody good? Any public comment?
Just briefly, Ms. Hawkins, thank you for taking the step here to figure this out and find out what it took.
Thank you.
Just to be safe here, we have no public comment?
Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're standing in the back and you're not going to be speaking, I'm going to have to ask you to go out and listen out in the lobby. I hate to be that way, except for the camera guy. You're good.
Position it in that corner area over there?
I tell you what, before we start public speaking, let's take a 10-15 minute break so we can reposition the camera.
Could we finish this item and then
Yeah.
take a break?
What's that?
Could we finish this item and then take a
Sure,
break?
we can do that. Go ahead.
George Fry once again. As the board members are aware of, we're having a very difficult time finding employees for some of these positions. I've noticed in the newspaper, there are some that are almost 8 or 10 months just I haven't been able to fill. We have a difficult time keeping deputy sheriffs here. They can get their training here and go somewhere else and make more money. I strongly support this person getting an E-step. We can't afford the luxury of losing people, especially somebody with 22 years experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fry. Any further public comment?
Are you referring to me sitting in the back? Opening the door?
If you're not going to speak on public comment,
I do want to speak.
on this issue, ma'am?
Oh, no.
Okay, on this agenda item only. Any further comments, Ms. Hawkins? Okay, bring it back to the board for any further comments? Entertain a motion? So moved by Supervisor Clapp to accept this position. Do I have a second?
Second?
A second by Supervisor Garamendi. Call for the vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed by no? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Board.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 10-minute break, 15-minute break rather, so we can Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're back in session. Madam Clerk.
Item 17 is from the Elections Department to make a determination in accordance with Election Code Section 9116 related to the Citizens Initiative Petition measure to ban the cultivation of marijuana for all purposes, including the manufacturing, processing, and delivery of marijuana, along with banning marijuana dispensaries except as preempted by federal and state law within all unincorporated parts of Calaveras County, and except for cultivation of medical marijuana for qualified medicinal patients and providers under specified conditions that was certified by the Registrar of Voters on January 9th, 2017.
Good morning. This is Rebecca Turner with the County Clerk Recorder and Registrar of Voters. I'm bringing you today the Certificate of Sufficiency of the County Citizens Initiative Measure. Our office has certified that the petition had sufficient signatures to go forward with either A, to adopt the ordinance without alteration, B, to call it election within 103 and 88 days from today's date, or C, to order additional reports on the item. So my office recommendation, based off the cost factor of the election, is that if you do call an election, that you do it sooner rather than later, because 88 days is February 3rd. And after that date, the election will get pushed from May, an all-mail election, to June, which would require us to open the polling places, and the cost factors involved in opening the polling places versus an all-mail election increase significantly. And we have staffing issues and other issues that if it was a June election versus a May. So if an election is called, I highly recommend that you call it prior to February 3rd so that we can hold an all-mail May election. Do you have any questions?
Questions from the board? I'll take public comment now, but ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to caution you. This issue, this agenda item deals with the election process, and the election process only regarding this issue. I'd like to have your comments focused on that particular issue, the election or not to elect. Okay, with that, we can entertain public speaking. We'll have 3 minutes, and before we start, could I just see a raise of hands of how many people wish to speak so we can hear what's going to happen? And a lot outside?
It's full.
All right. Okay. We've got a lot of people wishing to speak. It's very important that we show the respect to each other.
That's fine. Outside, we see you.
Yeah, we have you.
We acknowledge you.
And what I'd like to do is maintain some type of order, so once we have spoken, if you could at least go to the lobby area and let someone else in to stand in line. We want to keep the people near the front door to a minimum of 5 to 6 because of fire regulations, but let's work together on this. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Deborah Olguin. I'm compelled to share a bit of my history today in order to appeal to each of your consciences. I'm a picture of serious chronic pain. I suffer from occipital neuralgia and trigeminal neuralgia of the right face and jaw because of an animal attack. Occipital neuralgia is a rare condition that affects the occipital nerves located in the spinal column and back of the head. Occipital neuralgia causes severe neurological headaches that are constant and never go away. Imagine the worst possible migraine you've either experienced or heard told, doubled. It's what I've had to endure since 2011. The most valuable treatment I use is a nerve stimulator implant, which sends electrical current to the affected nerves in my head, thereby temporarily deadening the nerve. My device is a godsend. I was required to go through numerous experimental therapies through Stanford University Medical Center, including nerve blocks, steroids, narcotics, psychological therapy, before I was approved for this little device. My journey was a nightmare, not only for me, but for my family as well. The medication therapies had severe side effects, and I felt like I was going crazy. I was bedridden, 160 pounds, and on extended release morphine as well. I had zero quality of life. As a result of this, my marriage and my family fell apart. It was then that I made the decision to stop 5 medications and begin the use of medicinal marijuana. I use inhalation therapy and oil CBDs, and I use it about 3 to 4 times a day. It has been the very best decision I have ever made regarding my disability. No longer am I bedridden. No longer do I feel out of control. For the first time since that horrific day in 2011, I feel productive again. I've regained my health and, most importantly, my spirit. Moving on to the economics of the marijuana industry. The people of California has spoken, and I'm speaking to you now. I am the face of the good that cannabis does. I am also a senior citizen with disabilities. Access to the medication I absolutely need is extremely important. Having a dispensary close to home is absolutely necessary for those of us that have a difficult time traveling. I am not only thinking about myself and others like me, I'm thinking about our economically depressed county and the positive effects of the increased tax dollars in our coffers. With increased revenue, we hire more safety personnel, our roads are in better repair with materials and additional workers. If we have more employed, we all benefit. It's time to rethink past opinions and beliefs regarding cannabis. The benefits far outweigh any concerns you may have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Your time is up. Thank you. I was going to call that, but she got into the election. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you also, this is about the issue of the election. We understand everybody wants to at least display their experiences and their needs, but we are dealing with the election only.
Mr. Chair, are proponents limited to 3 minutes?
We are limited to 3 minutes.
All right, thank you. I'm David Tuno, a proponent of the ordinance. I'm on record as saying the previous board did not have the right to completely change the landscape and culture of this county on its own, and I stand by that. You can reverse that decision. If you believe that people should decide, you are right. Then answer 2 questions. First, have the people already spoken? Look at all the evidence. We all know Measure C passed as a security measure against the possible passing of Measure D, but D failed decisively in spite of a campaign spending disparity of at least 20-1. We also voted against Proposition 64. Our initiative collected roughly 2,000 more signatures than theirs, even though they used professionals versus our volunteers. We stopped halfway through our allotted time, and we had to overcome the public confusion and discouragement caused by a previous failed effort. There were 2 pro-pot supervisors sitting up there last year that are gone now, when pot was easily the most important issue, both of whom voiced support for a ban, then voted in favor of the urgency ordinance. That flip-flopping cost them. The second question for you is, what are the consequences of not adopting this ordinance now? You are faced with the perfect storm, the collision of the end of the urgency ordinance and the start of another grow season. Now, here comes the ban ordinance that offers the only protection available against that storm. What would happen if you don't adopt it? Knowing that this measure will likely pass and become effective in the middle of that season, the answers are all bad. Law enforcement, financial problems, and you would also put the people through another nightmare. They will remember that. Captain Macedo and Barbara Yook are both on record favoring a ban, quoting in a headline in the Enterprise on September 1, Sheriff still wants a ban on commercial cannabis, and later on in August, or earlier in August, marijuana does not belong in Calaveras County. Bottom line, if you don't adopt it now, it could only be that you are betting it won't pass, or that you don't believe the public will has been expressed, or that regardless of public will, you are in favor of commercial cannabis. But there's yet another issue, and that is that you think that the federal government will continue to not enforce the federal law as the previous administration did. I am very familiar with the general plan. It's replete with references to preserving the county, the culture, the environment, et cetera, and I submit to you that commercial cannabis cultivation is inconsistent with the general plan. Regarding the devastation on our youth, you have been presented with an excellent letter by Principal Brett Loring. It's a must-read. I hope you all do that. We on the committee are not afraid of an election. We know we would win. If you require us to prove the will of the people yet again, we'll do that. But be willing to take the blame for the mess that would be created, because you will own it. It comes down to this. It always has.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill McManus, Chairman of the Committee to Ban Commercial Cultivation,
and co-proponent of the initiative. Mr. Tuno has just provided a synopsis of how and why we arrived at this time and place. The will of the people has been accurately assessed. The initiative was started because of the decisions of the past board. The people demanded it and came out in droves to support it. This board has two options: either enact the ordinance today or have it placed on the ballot. Simple. Enact the ordinance today and enforcement can begin before another grow season begins. However, if you caused it to be placed on the ballot, you will have complicated your job. While the people wait for the election, another grow season will begin. The failed urgency is set to expire on February 14th. Will you turn your back on tens of thousands of citizens and extend the failed urgency ordinance? Do you realize that to do so will invite hundreds, if not thousands, of new growers to invade our county? We have already seen the effect of the failed urgency ordinance when it was extended to limit new growers, but in fact was an open invitation for more growers to illegally start timber cutting, illegal grading without a permit, just to demonstrate that the grow was started before the cutoff date. In other words, the nightmare of uncontrolled growing will again be forced upon the citizens for another grow season. It will be devastating for residents and fill agendas for the rest of the year. If you attempt to develop a permanent ordinance, it could take a very long time and will most certainly be extremely expensive. If you vote to consolidate the ban onto the ballot prior to February 3rd, it will most likely make the ballot in May, and that was according to Rebecca, who addressed you earlier. In either case, you must consider the time needed for the election to certify the results, 30 days, at the period between election certification and implementation of a new ordinance, 30 days. In any case, enforcement of the ordinance cannot move forward until the latter part of the growing season. By enacting the initiative now, you can prevent another nightmare of summer for residents. You can prevent another crime wave for the residents to endure. You can stop the environmental devastation in our county. If you don't, you will have to explain to the residents of this county why you subjected them to the horror and mayhem of another summer of illegal commercial cultivation. The people can solve the problem at the ballot box. Here's how simple it has become. Do you support commercial growing of marijuana in the county, or do you represent the thousands of citizens who want commercial growing out of our county? It's simple. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your enthusiasm, but please, can we hold the signs and the applause and the screaming to a minimum? We have a lot of people that wish to speak. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Crane.
Good morning, Marty Crane, Valley Springs. As many know, I've been to all of these meetings and most of the Planning Commission meetings and the study sessions with regard to this issue. And I have heard many times people say, when they're pushing for the ban, they say, listen to the people. Okay, so I remember that, and I agree with that. You should listen to the people. So they put an extensive effort out to gather signatures for a petition to ban the cultivation of marijuana, because that's what they believe in. So they put a lot of energy into this, and they counted all the signatures that they received. Our elections office does a sampling certification and then the math to determine if it's enough to put it on the ballot to the vote of the people. And that was the whole intent initially, was to put an initiative on the ballot to hear from the people. So they gathered, I believe, around 5,000 signatures. They sampled about 500 and decided that about 436 were sufficient, and that was enough to put it on the ballot. But they did not count all the people that did not sign the petition. They counted the ones that did sign the petition. If we had a yes or no item on the ballot, which we have had recently, and we only counted up the ones that said yes and not the ones that said no, nobody would stand for that. We have to hear from all of the people. So I agree that we have to listen to the people, which means that if we want to hear from the people, we have to let them vote. And we can't leave it up to just 5 people. Okay? But anyway, welcome to the board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Smiley.
Hi, my name's Catherine Powell. This is my first time ever speaking to anything. I just wanted to voice my opinion that I really did not vote for the passage of the marijuana bill here in Calaveras County. I'm a business owner here. I'm also a retired registered nurse, spent many years working in the emergency rooms, see the havoc that the drugs have played on our whole community. And as I was telling a lady here, I said, you know, the people here who are in favor of it, if they want a job here, they have to be drug tested. If they check positive for marijuana, are you going to hire them? No, but the unemployment rate in this county has been atrocious. I have in 2006, I got a call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and my son was dead. Guess what? He started with the gateway drug of marijuana. Totally devastated our family. Drugs have infiltrated everyone's families, you know. I just really hope you just don't pass it. If the worst case scenario, you have to put it back on the ballot, let's do that. But, you know, I've just seen too much, and I understand all these people who want it for medicinal stuff. Again, I go back a long way in the emergency room. Marinol, which is a synthetic kind of marijuana, has been available to patients for years and years and years. I don't know what else to tell you, but that's just, I really don't want it. Sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Tim Weishart. I live in Angels Camp, California. And I have a copy of the petition here, and certainly it has received enough signatures to be put on the ballot, and I'm here today to encourage you to allow that to go on the ballot, allow the people to vote whether or not something like this is acceptable to the people of Calaveras County. And I thank you for your time today.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. I'm Judy Robertson, Murphy's. I started teaching in 1966 and I retired in 2002. I gave my life to saving children, teaching children, and so today this is a goodbye letter that I'm privileged to read from someone that moved and cared about their children and their family and what you're going to vote on, how it affected them. This is from Melissa Bertel. This email was sent to one of the board members here. I am writing to tell you about our experience in Calaveras County. In the spring of 2001, we decided to have a house built in Rancho Calaveras. We wanted to build our lifelong home, raise our children here, and planned on having plenty of grandchildren to visit us there one day. We moved in, we became part of the community, attended church, volunteered, worked, and participated in community activities. About 7 years in, we began to have a problem with the neighbors behind us. Despite being renters and a convicted felon, they were growing marijuana and had chained pit bulls around their crop. The police said they knew illicit activity was going on, but they could not catch them in the act. Meanwhile, cars thumped up and down late at night, stayed for 10 minutes, left unsavory characters, and roamed the neighborhood. Gunshots, break-ins, and thefts. We no longer entertained in our backyard. During the harvest, tents appeared in the backyard, with a variety of people sleeping in the tents and walking around with guns. Once, when locking up our chickens late, my husband heard, "Don't shoot, that's the neighbor." In our own yard, we had to worry about being outside at night. We can no longer open our back windows from August through late October. 2 years ago, the neighbors across the street, also on the property under an acre, graded down one part, built up another, and soon the plants were put in. Now we could not open our front windows. Our energy bill skyrocketed. And in front of us was a fence. It was green plastic, now get a visual, nailed to pieces of lumber and parts of broken furniture. How would you like that neighbor across from you? When I asked the neighbors about their medical grow, they cussed me out, saying they needed to grow pot, but it was only the source of income they could have. The county came out, never said a thing about the code violations on their property. Only choice left was to put our house up for sale. Please think about the consequences allowing this type of activity in our county. I urge you to vote the ordinance banning commercial marijuana.
Thank you, Ms. Robbins.
Good morning, Board. My name is Bill Wilson. I'm from District 1, Mr. Tofinelli's district. I would urge the Board to do a financial impact study before they ever voted on this. Number one, there's no way that this bill or measure has any financial support in it. How are we going to pay for it if you ban? Where are you going to get law enforcement? The federal government has already said they are not going to. They passed that in the budget this year. There is no money for states that have legalized marijuana, okay? There's no support there. We end up losing taxes from Prop 64 that was passed in the state, may have been defeated in this county, but was passed in the state. It does not address medical marijuana or safe access to it. It allows for us to build a special building. I did an estimate. Special building will cost somewhere between $13,000 to put together. You're asking people on a fixed income like me to come up with $13,000 to grow 3 plants. That's not enough. That's not enough medication. Also, I'm a heart patient. I have a pacemaker. I have been on a tincture. You will not allow me, with this measure, to make that tincture anymore. So therefore, I will have to break your law, or I will have to go out of the county to obtain medication. Again, growing 3 plants doesn't do me any good. I can't smoke it. I don't have $13,000 to build a building. That's not even counting the electrical run from the box to there. Mr. Clapp, you were a contractor. Have any idea how much it costs to get a 250-foot run of electrical wiring from the box to a building? It's a little bit more than a couple $100, I would say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Reed Larson. Members of the board, thank you for your time. I'm a property owner, resident, and Calaveras cultivation registrant. Today, I'm encouraging you not to adopt this ban. Prohibitionist policy is historically ineffective and counterproductive. This is especially true when coupled with wasted resources of a terminated urgency ordinance. A ban would prove only to exacerbate problems both you and I would like to see solved. While, by many measures, the urgency ordinance is working to address these issues, realtors would testify that their cultivator traffic is down in their office, the sheriff's office is receiving current and future funding, farmers and non-cultivating community members alike are sharing the sigh of relief as illegal farms are denied and eradicated. Let's be clear. If you're growing within 75 feet of a property line, there already is a ban. If you're a patient caregiver with more than one other patient to serve, there already is a ban. If you want to come to Calaveras County today and start cultivating marijuana for money, there already is a ban. Please choose regulation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning. I'm Carmi Sanchez. I live in District 5. I do not smoke marijuana, medicinally or otherwise. I do not belong to any pro or for or against committees. I do have a concern about the due process of this ordinance. Basically, there's 5,200 signatures that were collected, and that's less than 13% of the vote of our entire population of this county. I feel that if you are going to initiate something like this, it should go before the people, no matter how convoluted that process is. There are many people here that have lots of concerns. I sell property, I'm out there, I see those concerns, I understand them. But this ordinance has more to do with the governance of medicinal than it does commercial. This limits people their opportunity to have affordable medicine and the availability of medicine. Not only does it give an ordinance about growing, it also bans the ability to go to a dispensary and get their medicine. Now, it also, there is in here, there's basically saying that you can't transport it. So what about a mother with a child that has a seizure condition that gets pulled over by a police officer and has a bottle of tincture in her car? This ordinance is saying that that is no longer allowed. So if you do need to pass an ordinance, which I do think there's regulation that needs to take place in this county, put it before a vote, let all of the people decide, not 13%. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Ted Shannon from McCollum Hill. Just very briefly on marijuana being a lot of people consider it a gateway drug. Well, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I personally feel differently. Marijuana is no more a gateway drug than alcohol, as far as I'm concerned. And we already tried banning alcohol once many years ago. It did not work. So I guess you can guess I'm in favor of a public vote. The voters have created a dilemma in November by endorsing fees on growing marijuana and multiple fees involved. But then the majority voted against legalizing it. It seems to me like the board has a real dilemma here. If the bill to outlaw commercial growing passes, or if you approve it, to me that means that the sheriff is going to need to enforce or try to enforce the ban. And what about all the money that's been collected by the county at this time? It seems to me there's an ethical and possibly legal dilemma also facing the board. Are you going to be required to refund that money that you have collected from growers? I think that's a real possibility. And one more quick thing, marijuana and all drugs, there has never been a problem for anyone wishing to acquire drugs. It's going to continue happening. So I do believe maybe the original Measure D that was legalizing marijuana should have been more restrictive. So I think we should have a vote and give a chance for those who are in favor of growers revising their ordinance bill, whatever you want to call it. And so each side can then present their case to the public, which, I also think that's the way it ought to be done. So thank you very much.
Mr. Shannon.
Hi, my name is Megan Guthrie. This is my daughter Abigail Guthrie. She attends Calaveras Unified High School. If she was not on CBD oil, she would not be attending school. If she's not allowed to be on CBD oil legally, she cannot go to school. We ran out of CBD oil because we're fire victims, and because of the fire, we lost our supply of medicine. She missed 85% of school. I am so tired of hearing people talk about children and bullying the children when I, as a parent, have a child of special needs that has every right to go to school, to get a free and appropriate education. And I know for a fact that I can't speak to, because of HIPAA, that other children are on this medicine too, to go to school. When I hear that it is a gateway drug, that is a parenting issue. I cannot parent my child into medicine, but I could certainly do my job as a parent and raise them correctly so they make the right choices in life and they don't get into my Vicodin or my alcohol or many other drugs, huffing antiperspirant. Now I'm going to get cold and go on to a fiscal note. Do you understand that we have spent the past year where you have collected $5,000 from each farmer, and you can only spend that money on code enforcement to register farmers? So all of the complaints that we have been hearing for the past year are because we are actually in a ban, because we are 3 months away from collecting taxes to enforce regulation, which will get rid of what every single person wants out of this town, illicit growing. If you enforce a ban today, you will get rid of her medicine, create a health and safety risk for my child, take away my right to grow medicine for my daughter, and the people that have no investment in this county will stay, and the floodgates will open. And I urge you as a new board to be responsible, and many people voted no on D, including us, because I feel it's the board's responsibility. We voted you in. It is your responsibility to write good, fair legislation. This is a complicated issue that should not even be on the ballot. You should get an ad hoc committee. I have offered to be on an ad hoc committee, and you should write careful, thoughtful legislation. It is your job to protect the health and safety of our citizens here, and I expect us all to do our job. And it's about how you regulate a wonderful industry that can really help this county, rather than the divide that's been created. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, please.
Thank you.
Honorable Chairman, distinguished members of the board, I am Joan Wilson, or Joan Tanner Wilson. I'm the owner of Frogtown Farm. I live in Circle 20, and that's where my small farm is. I have 2 boys. One is an Army veteran. The other one is an Eagle Scout. I grow marijuana. I grow marijuana for me, okay? And I grow marijuana for anybody else that needs it. I give it away for free. I have had people that have gotten off of opioids, and in fact, they had been hit by a truck, so they got well into opioids. They do use marijuana now for pain. I use it because my father died of cancer. I used it with him. I was told by the nurses that if that's what you got, bring it. We'll give it to him in the hospital. We'll find a place for him. It helped him. It was the only thing that he could use. First he started out eating it, and then he went to smoking it because he had that. I'm sorry?
We have to focus on the election. The issue is before the board.
It needs to go in front of the people, okay? This needs to be voted on by the people. If the board comes up with something that we could all live with, and granted, it's not going to satisfy everybody, I'm okay with that. But the people need to speak. Measure C was voted in. I think the people want some type of regulation. For me to grow my medicine in a building that, 1, I have to put up, 2, the electricity, the carbon footprint that leaves is enormous. The fans running. I had to run between the house and my grow back in San Jose because of the noise. I could not hear my father. It's expensive. This ban is not right. We have a ban in place right now because anybody that couldn't grow here before or didn't grow here before is not growing now. If they are, they're illegal, and hopefully the sheriff will take care of them. We don't need illegal people here. We don't need human traffickers. We need good citizens, and that's what I want to be. That's why I'm trying to be legal. Please don't make me illegal.
I don't smoke it because
you.
I've had precancerous cells.
Thank you, ma'am. Your time is up. I'm sorry.
Somebody's
I heard a ding. I apologize. Go
Can I
ahead.
add a little more?
Going.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't smoke it. I've had precancerous cells. I have other issues that I use it for also.
You get 5 more seconds. I took 5 seconds from you.
Okay. I use an oil. I use a tincture. Please don't make me illegal. I really don't want to move from this county. I love this county. I work here. I have a job. I just a little bit over minimum wage, and I'm trying to set my family through, my boys through college, and help
Thank
my
you very
family
much.
out. Okay? Thank you.
How you doing today, board? My name's Patrick Cossey, and we're talking a lot about the vote and stuff like that, and all these people that can't pass drug tests. Well, they come and work with us, and we work very hard. It's farming. Just in line with dairy farming, it's farming. We're working 12 to 18 hours a day to make sure things are taken care of. And I've put everything I've had, all my money, everything into this. I'm an entrepreneur, gambler. I voted for Trump. I believe in capitalism. We were told yes. I put all of my heart, soul, blood. I wear a hat that says chase dreams. Okay? And then everybody, we love everybody here in
Sir,
this whole
sir, you
thing.
need to speak to the
But-
mic.
Okay, yes, sir. But like, we're bringing people in that can't get jobs. We're giving money to the city and trying to do our part and be law-abiding citizens. And we're counting on you guys to like do what you said, because we're going to do what we said. And you know, I mean, people think, I hear like, oh, it's easy money or things. No, it's hard work. That's why we're getting paid. It's not easy. We have people picketing us. We're still working hard. I should be at work right now. My mother's money is she believes in me. She saw, yes, look, here's my legal papers. Here's $15,000. I believe in you. I have to make sure it happens. So that's why I'm here today to you, talking to you. What if somebody gave you papers that said legal? Here's your fishing license. Here's your hunting license. You're going to bring the big buck home. But now I feel like we've entered a lottery that has no draw, that we've put everything into it. We bought the big lotto ticket, and then now it's not there at the end. Because this is our first year in business. We are broke. We have put everything into it, just like everybody else's first time in business. We are going all down, getting ready for the year. And then now, like everybody says, it's go time for us. It's May coming on. We need to know. We're holding on to the reins to let our horses go, to be part of this community. You know, I mean, like, it's sad to say, but like we hire all the losers because they can't get jobs nowhere else. And nobody's going to work for free till the product comes in. You know, everybody's on commission. That's the way it works. Just like every auto body shop or whatever, they work hard because they don't want to make 10 bucks at the end. They want to make a big comeback for their family, you know. They want to send their kid to, I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I have 3 children. My oldest son's a Marine. And I don't have the money for education, but that boy, he's in Okinawa right now with a Marine base, getting education for him and his wife. You know, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning again. I'm going to speak one more time quickly, and then I do need to get to work. Mary Ellen Souza from Mountain Ranch. I'm going to ask that the board consider the focus of this conversation again, because we really are getting far from the election, it seems. There are a lot of people with a lot of passion here, and a lot of people who can't be here who have equal passion. But the focus right now is on the election. I've talked to a number of people on, I even hate to say both sides of this issue, whether to have an election or not have an election. I consistently find some common ground with folks. Because of a failure in leadership prior to this board being in existence, a perfect storm was created. allowing an us versus them. So rather than a community dialogue around election, we're having an us versus them, and I think that's just really, really sad. I think Calaveras deserves better. I think Calaveras has better. So in terms of the election, it should have happened 2 years ago, but that horse left the barn, to use a previous metaphor, ship sailed, whatever you want to call it. You know, we're here, we're today. The current ordinance is not a given. So it's not that all these problems are solved with the current ordinance. That's why an election is being proposed. People have worked really, really hard on this issue. I believe that if you do not institute a ban, to then have a constructive dialogue around possible funding, looking at creative funding for adequate law enforcement and protecting people on both sides of the issue. If we don't go that route, and that discussion around finances has to happen if we're going to have a ban. It has to happen. If that doesn't happen, and you opt to put it to the entire county, I don't have a major issue with that. What I have a major issue is we have to start making decisions in a proactive way, in a constructive dialogue with the community, and not waiting for these crises that, quite frankly, this is tearing our community apart on par with the Butte Fire. And that Butte Fire touched me very deeply in my entire circle of friends and family. And so I'm well aware of the personal impacts, and I'm not going to go into that because the focus of these conversations and comments right now should be strictly on the election. So in the event that we are holding an election, I would echo the sentiment to do it in a cost-effective way. We need to monitor our dollars carefully, and that would be as soon as possible with a mail-in election. If you opt not to do that and you opt to accept the ban, I personally have no issue with that, as long as you are immediately having discussions around how do we enforce adequate law enforcement. Our sheriff and our law enforcement deserve that. Thank you, and I appreciate your time this morning, and I am really glad that I do not sit in your shoes today. Good luck.
Thank you. Any other further comment? Public speaking? Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to recognize former Supervisor Tom Troyon.
Thank you. It's been a long time since I've been here. I can't say I miss the place. But you know, it was 32 years ago this month that I was sworn in on my first term on the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors. And I voted against a drug grant and a marijuana eradication grant that the sheriff's office wanted. And in June, July, and August of that year, I faced a recall sponsored by the Sheriff's Department and the Sheriff's supporters. And I survived that recall, and it was all about marijuana, and it was all about the war on drugs. I am very much a product of the 60s. I entered high school in 1960, graduated in 1964, entered Berkeley, that's right, the People's Republic, and graduated in 1968, and then went into the military for 2 years from 68 to 70. I've always, since I graduated from college, been a great warrior against the drug war. I think it is fruitless and useless and just destroys lives. There's nothing productive that comes out of it. They're not illicit drugs because you don't put the drugs in prison, you put people in prison that have done no harm to others. And so I think I will continue with my comments. And what I'll do is I want us to sing to the board a brief refrain from a song that defined the 60s. And it goes like this: "You better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are a-changing." And I just ask the board not to vote for Calaveras County to sink like a stone. There's no reason for that in this day and age. All we are asking for is good governance. And frankly, a ban is not good governance. It's no governance at all. high and exorbitant taxes that allow for an exponential growth in government, albeit county government, and those same high taxes allow and incentivize illegal grows when we want to have legal grows, is not good government, or not good governance. So what is good governance? Coming up with an effective, practical, intelligent set of rules and regulations for the growing of cannabis. That's what we're asking for. And that shouldn't be difficult. And if you can come up with that set of rules and regulations, you can cut the sheriff's budget.
Your time is expired. Thank you.
Okay. Well, then I'll end it with this. If don't let the county.
Time is over. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Raymond Smith. I'm from Valley Springs. I'm also a clinically certified medical assistant. I hold a degree, associate's degree in medical assisting. And I would like to, first of all, remind that there is a California Nurses Association. They are working in conjunction with Patients Out of Time. You can actually get continuing education credits through your nursing.
Excuse me, sir, we need to be focused on.
Oh, I understand.
The agenda item, please.
I understand. The reason that I'm bringing this up is because we are coming to a hearing comments about emergency room visits and such, and this will actually prevent emergency room visits for my family. I have responsibilities to my family, to reading. I understand that, sir, and please.
All right.
There is a Fortune 500 company, Wells Fargo,
move on.
which allows people to basically be employed by their company without having to take a drug test. So what was being said here about those I'm just refuting, but also I'm moving forward with the findings in the emergency ordinance about the fire, odor, crime, and pollution.
Sir,
and as well, I would like to see the reports for
That issue is going to be addressed in
those.
future meetings. Let's
Yes,
get to the
sir. Yes,
election,
sir.
please.
I would like to see the reports for those as well as the fiscal impact report. But before we move, I just like to know a little bit more about that. As well, there's I'm sorry. I've really had my train of thought broken here. I do wish you all health and happiness and a very good day. I've been taken aback by this. I'm very sorry. I just want to pick up on what I was talking about to begin with, which is the fact that this should be brought to the voters, because what the ideas that were given in parking lots and street corners were not the details that people are going to vote on. And the fiscal impact report and the impact on crime and these issues regard to the fact that this is the most complex and difficult issue for our community in recent times, in recent months. And it is our responsibility as a community to come together and resolve these. I really think that we deserve our community back, and I've seen a division within our community that is disheartening. And I would like to see a Citizens Action Committee. I would like to be part of that Citizens Action Committee moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Board. I'm happy to see all of you and happy to see the civil discourse that we're participating in this morning. I understand my government to be a democratic republic. We voted for you. We have a system that allows for initiative process, and I think that it is an important process and that we should stick to it. And we also have the opportunity to allow you to vote on it without going back to the people. The Democratic Republic means we vote for you and you vote for us. And that means that you have the ability right now to ban commercial marijuana in our county because of all of the problems that is brought to us. And if we want to revisit us down the road, we'll have that opportunity. However, now it's out of control. It's out of control. And if we don't vote and resolve this before February 14th, we have a window that just invites more problems that we cannot afford. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Carol Couchman. I'm from San Andreas. In my allotted time, I would like to speak about the victims of this struggle between legal cannabis and a ban. Those victims are the patients. People of every age who are suffering from illnesses and conditions that Western medical science cannot help them with. They receive a death sentence from that part of our medical community. When you're in a family or you have a family member or you are the member with someone that suffers with a health issue like this, your life is turned upside down, irrevocably changed.
I'm going to have to direct you.
I know, I understand.
Otherwise.
Okay, so I'm trying to get across to you the effects of banning for patient access, who are the people who can't speak for themselves. They can't come here because they're too sick. My daughter is one of them. My daughter has suffered for years. The effects of a ban is those people, where are they going to get their medicine? They can't drive. They may not have the money to purchase it, which is why they grow it themselves. They may need somebody to grow it for them because they don't know how or they're unable to. There are many people like this in this county, in California. Getting it somewhere else is not an option for them, and having to choose between buying their medicine and being able to buy groceries is a reality. That's what will happen to these victims if you ban. They won't have quality of life, and that's what cannabis has given back to them. That's such a stressful situation. I wrote a letter to you all personally, and I hope you read it. I only heard back from a couple of you. I pray that you carefully consider the patients when you make your policy. There may be some short-term gratification with the small group who have spearheaded this effort, but in the long run, the damage that will be done will be a haunting legacy by a small group of people who do not seem to care about anyone but themselves. Proverbs 6:16 through 19 says, "The Lord hates a false witness that speaks lies and sows discord amongst his brethren." What would Jesus do in this situation? We see in the Bible that he chose to break the law in order to heal the sick and help the helpless. I beg you and ask you to make this consideration. We cannot stop getting this medicine for our children. I'm sorry, it's emotional for me. I have empathy for the residents who have been negatively affected by commercial cultivation. I understand why they feel the need for that, but if you ban, good people like us who want to do the right thing and grow this legally will be gone. We don't want to go against the law. The people that'll come back in are the ones who they're just so afraid of. That's what's going to happen. Please use your position and vote the right way for the victims. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Vivian Seichu, District 1. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Board of Supervisors for your time, consideration, and understanding of the matters set before us today with regards to the cannabis ban initiative. Please kindly allow me to read an excerpt from the City of Coalinga's Cannabis Ordinance as a starting point to convey a realistic and fact-based analysis of their studies and findings. Section 3B, page 2 and 3 of their ordinance. In the absence of a formal regulatory framework, there are potential serious adverse consequences to the community. There are numerous well-publicized studies and reports, as well as numerous documented incidences in Fresno County and throughout the state, which show that unregulated marijuana operations have a significant adverse effect on the community. The numerous health, safety, and welfare concerns associated with unregulated marijuana operations include, among others, home drug labs, offensive odors, trespassing, theft, violent encounters between growers and persons attempting to steal plants, fire hazards, problems associated with mold, fungus, and pests, and environmental contamination. These concerns have been exemplified throughout Fresno County and the state, as evidenced by numerous area agency police reports and news articles and stories. The City of Coalinga finds that in the absence of a formal regulatory framework, the adverse impacts frequently associated with commercial marijuana operations will occur, resulting in an unregulated and potentially significant negative impact upon the environment and upon the public health, safety, and welfare of the community. The influx of above-board cannabis farmers seized with the urgency ordinance. At this point, any new growers coming into our county will be criminal black market growers. If the county bans, they will be initiating a regulatory framework that incentivizes this type of influx. I implore each of you to conduct your own research and fact-finding studies in order to make sound decisions. We have a taxable solution in place in the form of Measure C, which would be collected from all the growers to regulate cannabis, provide the county and sheriff's office with adequate funding and resources, and contribute to the betterment of programs and causes within our county that would support growth and well-being. Under a ban, we do not have the financial means or viable solutions to enforce and address health, public safety, and environmental concerns, and requiring more efforts from our county's limited resources and manpower capacity to tackle criminal black market grows, crime, and negative impacts associated with it. Prohibition equals a high-risk, high-reward outcome and is the perfect business case of outlaws, mafia, triad, and cartel operations. This has always been the case since any prohibition legislation has ever been imposed on any human being in history, and it will continue to be the case if prohibition is yet imposed again today. History teaches us lessons. Repeating the same mistakes of the past is unacceptable and only proves that we have learned nothing. In conclusion, we are currently working with the state on a track and trace program, which I would be more than happy to provide you with further information and details on, which would answer a lot of questions and subside a lot of the fears. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I submit a handout for the record, please? Here's one for you.
Thank you.
My name is Dr. Prapana Randall Smith. I'm a District 3 voter and a registered grower. I'm pleased to have a permit and a business license to cultivate in my little tiny 500 square foot warehouse. I'm here today to object formally to the consideration of what is not an initiative. If you take a look, what I'd like to do is just read into the record that the proposed citizens initiative was not prepared in substantial compliance with the language required by California Elections Code and is therefore not a citizens initiative. Section 9124 of the California Elections Code provides that the enacting clause of an ordinance submitted to the voters of a county shall be substantially in the following form. The people of the county of Calaveras ordain as follows. Note that the enacting clause, the proposed citizens initiative ordinance, does not contain the word people. Also, section 17.103.100 states that the authority for the proposed citizen initiative is derived from the Board of Supervisors enacting it. Based upon the failure to substantially comply with the California Elections Code 9124, the Board of Supervisors should not choose option A and adopt the ordinance without alteration. Also, option B would be a waste of taxpayer money because proposed citizens initiative is not properly drafted in substantial compliance with 9124. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Good morning. My name is Kira Tucker. I'm the Executive Director of Tuolumne Cannabis Advocates, visiting today. We advocate for safe access under provisions of the regulations being set forth under state legislative acts. South from here, across the river, we have been without local dispensaries for years. Calaveras has been kind on cannabis for the last decade, and as such has been made a safe haven for patients whose needs have been marginalized in our county. Banning all commercial cannabis business in Calaveras will sever safe access from the thousands of patients who work hard and travel 1 to 2 hours to your county. I don't feel it's very thoughtful or inclusive, and it does not support safe access, so I can't stand behind it. In regards to the election issue, to be specific, I can't vote in your election. And I represent thousands of people who also cannot vote in your election, but who depend on access. So please consider us Cross River. We're friendly. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Morning.
Morning.
Jessica Bertachowski. I'm a District 2 resident and have a registered cannabis farm. And I'd like to speak today about the impact a ban would have on our farmers. You can imagine that starting a business is not cheap. $5,000 paid to registration fees is just the tip of the iceberg. The true cost of compliance reached tens of thousands of dollars to some farms. It was hard for them to pay such a price when the future was so uncertain. Individuals and families have exerted themselves in their efforts to produce medicine for patients and fulfill an American dream. A ban would instantly take everything that we'd worked for away, leaving people with a difficult decision, a decision that is hard enough to make a year ago when our neighbors lost everything in the fire, when our neighbors had absolutely nothing to claim as their own and barely a leg to stand on. There are roughly 3 options for farmers. The first option is moving away. A ban would force farmers to shut their doors, taking their families and their resources with them. There will be no collection of their taxes, and the jobs they've created would cease to exist, displacing even more people who have families that depend on them. The second option is bankruptcy, defined as a financial promise that you are unable to keep, utter ruin, failure, or depletion. I brought photographs of the last CCA meeting we had in the Mountain Ranch. I'd like to give you some words. These people attended the meeting because they want to be in Calaveras. They have invested their time and their money, which is certainly valuable, and want to participate in the process of regulation. In fact, there are hundreds more than the 100 you can count in the photo. I personally would feel despair if any one of them were to have their lives ruined this way. And the third option would be the black market. A ban would undoubtedly stimulate a black market. Avoiding this direction is what the previous board and CCA has been slaving over for years. A ban would be a devastating step backwards, especially when we have come so far and are so close to a permanent ordinance that provides structure through regulation. With tax, a permanent ordinance would provide a lot of things for the future of our community. I asked people on Facebook what they'd like to see happen for their community in the future. A lot of them said funds for the schools with arts, music, and athletic programs, more opportunities vocational schools so that graduates could have more opportunities, improved roads and with sidewalks, things for families to do, like a community park with everything in it, playground, skate park, somewhere where families could go to have fun and exert their energy in a positive way. Thank you.
Ma'am.
Good morning. I'm Beth Whitkey with Sungrown Medicine. I live in District 2. Our entire neighborhood was devastated by the Butte fire. I want to talk about the election in that several of the proponents have gone on the record saying that it was wrong for the previous board, proponents of the ban, went on the record saying it was wrong for 5 people to make this decision. I would like to echo that and say that it would be best if this went to a ballot for all the people to decide. I want to talk about Measure C, the 10, 15, possibly $20 million that is on the table here. I think it is our responsibility as a community to implement Measure C. We have $80,000 to $130,000 for an election that is dwarfed by the tens of millions of dollars we have an opportunity for taxing and regulating. I would like to see the schools better funded. It upsets me to be told that I am no longer welcome in a community I have put energy into for 26 years. It is not a small thing to take all of the investment that we put in to become compliant and go somewhere else. It puts us at the back of the line for any community we want to go to. They all have moratoriums. We have an opportunity to take this to the election, have people vote on it, and if the ban measure fails, continue a permanent ordinance that puts us at the front of the line for state licensing. Not all of us are greed motivated. Many of us want to provide for patients. We want to see good dispensaries in our communities so people do not have to travel. I can't fathom us turning down the money, refunding all of the fees that so many of us paid. I can't get the money back that I put into engineers, to builders, to all of the things that we invested as a family. My whole family lent us money to do this. And I have to go to them with my hat in hand and say, it didn't work out. Because a few people decided for all of us that we aren't welcome here. I don't understand why we're not welcome in this community. We volunteer. We contribute to our community. I just stepped up and am happy to join the senior committee on aging. You got me. I'm happy to do it. I can't do it if I have to move. Okay? I am an able-bodied grandmother who wants to provide quality medicine for people. I have 112 acres. I did not go for the maximum canopy. I kept my farm small, something that I can manage. Any people that I hire, I will happily background check. I have spoken to the sheriff personally. He said, urge you to re-adopt the urgency ordinance because he knows he won't have the funds and the deputies he needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Utterback.
Good morning. My name is Mark Unterback. I think I come to you today with a little bit of a unique perspective, at least so far. I'm not a resident of Calaveras County. I live in Discovery Bay. I have a business license in Calaveras County, and my business license is for a company called ProCan Labs, and part of my business, I serve the growers, the legal growers. So I can tell you that, as I see it, this is not about a ban, this is about regulation. Because you're being asked to come up with regulation, as so many people have spoken about. If you ban, these seats will be empty. The outlaws aren't here. I know some of these people, I don't know all of them, but I can tell you that the people that I met working with as growers, as registered growers, because the first thing I asked for was their registration application, they're good people. And everybody's got a different story. There's men, there's women, there's many mothers and daughters who grow so that they can make money. And what I'm here to talk about is the election and the opportunities that exist. You know, I grew up in New York, born in 1960, I'll be 57. In the 70s, there was a ban on cocaine. Didn't work, you know. I had my share. Everybody in New York did at the time. You guys know full well that cannabis has been around for a very long time. You know that if you ban, like many of these people have said, they'll leave. The outlaws will stay. The environment will be ruined. You know, the opportunity that's here right now is to fill the budget gap that exists. You know, you guys took what I read was a calculated risk. Now, when I say you guys, a lot of the supervisors are not here anymore, and they were voted out. And I heard the threats that started this meeting, and I think I heard threats of some people being voted out if they don't go the way of the will of some of the people. There's a lot of money on the line, and it will cost money for an election. If it were up to me, a mail-in vote, probably not the way to go. A live vote is the way to go. Community outreach is the way to go. Town hall meetings is the way to go. In a town hall meeting, instead of us against them, it's us. It's all of us. And as you saw with the national election, you can't BS that way. You can't talk about what somebody said because somebody is there. Your sheriff is at half the staff it was 15 years ago. They need people. The sheriff's department will support the regulations that you enact. You guys need the money. There's a lot of money here. If you don't take it, you're not going to get it somewhere else. There will be no tourism. Tourism will go somewhere else. These are not bad people. These are not bad people. These are people who want to follow regulation, who will pay taxes, and who will make Calaveras fiscally responsible. I thank you for your time, and I look forward to doing business here for a very long time. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Holly Johnston. At this stage in the game, banning marijuana cultivation and sales would be detrimental to this county. Cannabis is legal in the state now, as I'm sure everyone here is aware. This means that the state is facing an imminent economic boom, much like Oregon and Colorado have in the past several years. Is Calaveras County going to sit back and not partake in one of the biggest economic opportunities this county has seen since the gold rush? Already, farmers have given the county thousands of dollars each, equating to millions total, in order to become legal. If our county is wealthy enough to turn our backs on these jobs, then I'm surprised. These really are an ideal sort of job for this area, aren't they? Farming jobs that are both very lucrative and, when done right, which regulation can help ensure, can have minimal impact on the environment. Really, would you rather have a county of farmers or a county that has been strip mined, is full of oil wells, or polluting factories? I'll go with farming myself. And yet people are afraid of marijuana growers. People are afraid of things they don't understand. Well, look around you. At least half the people in this building are marijuana cultivators. Do we really look so scary? We are industrious citizens of this county, good people, and will not be demonized. Cannabis has been grown for decades without legal consent, and I'm sure many will continue regardless of a ban. Your choice is whether to have a say and have a stake in this profitable industry. To speak frankly, to ban cannabis in this county would be short-sighted and just plain silly. Let this plant grow free and in the sun where it belongs. Give us the chance to vote on this. Give us at least the chance for official public comment. Please do not ban cannabis cultivation and sales in this county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I just wanted to take just a quick moment to congratulate and welcome the new Board of Supervisors. I couldn't attend the swearing-in ceremony. I was sick, but my name is Michael Magana. I am here as a citizen of San Andreas, just to make that clear to some people. I am not here to speak for or against the effort to ban commercial cannabis cultivation. I'm here to ask the supervisors to respect the political process. Qualifying a measure for the ballot, speaking to voters, collecting signatures is an example of direct democracy. It stimulates citizen interest on issues that affect our communities. It allows people to become engaged in the political process. Several years ago, as a local organizer for a statewide ballot initiative, the purpose of collecting signatures for a petition such as this is to let voters decide. Let me repeat, voters get to decide. A decision by the Board of Supervisors to adopt today would take away that opportunity. The decision should be clear, again, for the third time, let the voters decide. It should not be left up to a very passionate group of people who did spend their time and effort asking folks to sign a petition, but not give voters the opportunity to make that decision. This only degrades direct democracy and it hinders the political engagement. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Edwin Brolio. I live in Angels Camp, and I just wanted to say that, this is kind of a hasty decision. All of this went into effect, less than 6 months ago. It's pretty obvious that we've stopped the bleeding, but we haven't given anything time to heal. That's what we took these measures for, right, was to stop the influx of people coming in, which it seems that is stopped. And also, the fact is that the sheriffs are doing what they're supposed to. That's what our money went to. That's what our registration went to, was for enforcement and for whatever needed to be done to maintain us to be able to be registered and cultivate in this county. Me, for one, I feel that a ban is a hasty move. Give us some time to try and fix what's been going on in this county for the last 15 years. This isn't something that's happened overnight. I've said this over and over again. We've done what the opposing side has wanted us to do. Give us a chance. We've taken in what you guys wanted for regulation, tried to appease everyone. Give us a chance to try and do something substantial here. The thing is we've done what you guys have asked us to, so allow us to just try and proceed and make Calaveras great. I mean, the thing is I can't understand the fact that we are going to allow 5 people to establish what's best for this county. And if you guys are worried about the money for doing the election, how much money is left over from the millions that you guys took from us? None? I don't believe that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please.
I don't believe that those millions of dollars are gone. And if you guys need more money, we didn't have a problem paying for the registration, so allow us to pay for an election. Allow the people to speak their voice. And you know, it's kind of funny how everything has changed in here in a matter of a year. People used to be able to come in here and speak their mind last year, and at least people were cordial to each other. This is something that I really, really am disgusted with, is some of the people around here and the behavior of some of these people. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you one more time, please show each speaker the respect they deserve. I know we have comments, but let's keep it down to a manageable situation. Otherwise, we'll take other measures. Thank you.
Hi. This election is about medical access. You don't want to hear about medical, but cannabis is saving.
Ma'am, you're going to have to speak into the microphone. Thank you.
Okay, this election is about medical cannabis. You don't want to hear about the medical side, but it's what's saving my son's life. If you ban it, then we can't live here. My son was vaccinated at 3 months old, and he was injured. He had a stroke. He's totally deaf. He's nonverbal and has uncontrollable seizures. CBD is the only thing that's ever helped him. 5 years ago, they wanted to cut his brain in half. If it wasn't for cannabis, that's the road we probably would have gone down. We live here now in Rancho Calaveras. You eliminating dispensaries and us access for it, that eliminates my son's treatment. I don't know what else to do if you ban it. I've done everything that the medical doctors have told me to do. I've been to all the specialists. I've done numerous alternative things, acupuncture, nothing helped. CBD did. He's going 4 or 5 days with no seizures. He's laughed out loud for the first time in his entire life. He's going to the potty instead of in his diaper. He's doing things that he never, ever learned. And that's because the cannabis has given his brain a break from the seizures. He's actually getting to quality of life. As parents, as grandparents, we all want that for our children. I'm sorry that the band people are so adamant and so dislike the cannabis so much. I get that. I've been anti-drugs all my life. I raised 3 boys by myself. And I totally understand that. But this is a medicine that is saving my son's life now.
Ma'am,
I wouldn't have believed
we're going to have to
it.
go back focused on the election.
Yes, I wouldn't have believed it, but if you take away that access, it's detrimental to my son's health and our quality of life. Eliminating that and taking that ban, putting it in force will keep us from being able to, I don't want to drive out of another county to go get medicine. I don't want to be illegal. I don't want to do things that are illegal. I just want a good quality of life for my family. And that's all I had to say.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Crystal Kesey of Burson, District 1. I would just like to advocate for the board not to adopt the initiative today. Earlier this morning, Mr. McManus said he wanted to ban illegal cultivation. I have to tell you, the registered farmers are with you.
Address the board, please.
Okay.
Thank
The
you.
registered farmers are with the idea of banning illegal cultivation, but this ordinance bans all cultivation except in structures that may cost upwards of $13,000. The letter that was read about the scary people in Murphy's, that really resonated with me. Maybe we can use general fund tax dollars to provide faster law enforcement responses for unsavory characters and situations like the experiences in Murphy's. We registered farmers also want those awful people out of Calaveras. But if you ban us, you ban a group of public safety advocates who are with you. We want to ban illegal cultivation. Please don't ban those of us who care. Ban illegal cannabis via the evolving regulation process, which is arduous but necessary, and through the funding mechanism that you already have in place. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Mr. Zagala?
Good morning. I'm Al Sagala. I'm speaking for myself. I'm involved with the Taxpayer Association, but the board, the Taxpayer Association, has both opinions, for and against, and we thought it best that anything the Taxpayer Association does would be directed toward just achieving balance, providing arguments on both sides, and try to be a friend to the voter without taking a position one way or the other. But as an individual, I would recommend that you place this on the ballot, and I think that this needs to be done. We put together some questions, 7 questions, and we're getting responses to these questions. From these responses, we hope to put together a fact-based pro-con analysis for the voters. Hopefully we'll have that completed before the election, if there is one. The first one, what have been the consequences in other counties similar to ours which have banned cannabis? It is estimated Calaveras has maybe 200 cannabis farmers, half of which applied for a permit, hoping to end the black market. This industry seems to be a major portion of our local economy. Question 2, do the cannabis farmers have constitutional protections of their rights to life, liberty, and property? If the answer is no, who does? Number 3, is it true that the federal drug war is a huge failure following the same pattern as federal alcohol prohibition? Number 4, how would a local drug war be different? Number 5, if the local cannabis industry, is the local cannabis industry becoming more responsible and accountable? If so, how would a ban affect this process? Number 6, if cannabis ban is passed by initiative and is later discovered that the unintended consequences are too costly, would repeal require another initiative? Number 7, it is true, according to supply and demand theory, that the huge profit in cannabis growing is created by government suppression efforts. If so, how would further suppression change that? Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, new supervisors, for being here, and we're looking forward to great things from you. My name is Mike Gonsman. I live in Wallace, California. I've got a couple of letters here from some local law enforcement people I'd like to read to you guys. There's been a little bit talked about law enforcement regulations, environmental regulations and stuff like that, but before I get into their actual letters, I'd just like to state that I have talked to numerous law enforcement people that were involved, and I've never heard yet one of those individuals say that there's any way that they can regulate or do what's necessary to control what's going on in this county. There's no way. There's no way we can hire enough deputy sheriffs. There's no way we can hire enough building inspectors to check everything. If I'm not mistaken, the last time that I've asked, there's out of all, and one lady, a lady or gentleman that was just here talked about 200 permits. The last time I was, it's something more like 2,000 people. Well, let me say this, there's 2,000 growers in our county right now. How many of them actually were issued permits or even applied for them, I don't know. And that brings the fact that very few of the permits that were issued or the permits that were sent in have actually been approved. Now, this has been talked about before. I can't go fishing until I have a fishing license. I can't build a house until I have a permit. So it should say something to us, the fact that people are doing what they're doing regardless of what the law says, and this will continue. So in reading my letters, I'd like to just say that as Captain Macedo has previously stated at an April 12, 2016 board meeting, I think there is some public misinformation out there, and somehow the ordinance and the regulation fees and some taxes and some things is going to pay and just going to take care of all the law enforcement needs. This is inaccurate, and I want to be right up front and clear about that. The other letter I have here states, marijuana isn't going to bring our economy up, it's going to bring it in the toilet. Sheriff DeBasilio said on 6/8/16 at the Greenhorn Country Creek Fireside Room in Angels Camp at an event held by the Calaveras County Republican Party. At the same event, when asked on a scale of 1 to 10 how much worse it is now since the ordinance, with 10 being the worst, it's 10, he responded without hesitation, the very worst it can be. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I am obviously for your decision to ban this thing, and I hope that you do that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, thank you for your time, gentlemen. My name is Megan Zalvez, and I am the co-founder and Chief Financial Officer of Rolling Hills Bookkeeping here in San Andreas. Most of you probably never heard of us. We just recently opened in 2016. My husband and I came here for one reason and one reason only, to work with and for the cannabis industry here in Calaveras. We pride ourselves on working with men and women who are fairly new to the corporate business world. Many farmers are darn good at growing just about anything you put in the ground, but need an extra hand when it comes to corporate tax calculations and payroll structures. That's what brought us here. Farms and dispensaries desperately in need of assistance with becoming compliant with the legitimate business world. And even as the threat of a potential ban looms in front of them, we are still receiving a minimum of 4 phone calls a day from prospective clients needing assistance. Everything from setting up W-2 employee payrolls, submitting 1099s, general liability insurance, even something as simple as setting up a checking account. It's not an easy road, nor is it a cheap one, but I have yet to encounter a single farmer in the more than 200 I have spoken to in just 3 months who wasn't willing to pay every dime owed to state and federal taxes. Every farmer I work with voted yes for Measure C. Most of them have even asked me to inquire if they can pay the full amount early. In my nearly 20 years of business experience, I have never encountered a group such as this, an industry filled with people who are technically in competition with each other, yet they insist on doing everything in their power to help one another. An industry who voted to pay additional tax to their county to see the community they call home pulled out of an economic downward spiral and thrive. An entire industry who donated time and money to helping neighbors who were affected by the Butte fire. What you have here, gentlemen, is something that is beyond unique and rare. It is completely unheard of. And no, I am not trying to stand here and say every farmer is a perfect human being. You're going to have bad apples in every industry on this planet. But those bad apples are not among the group you see here today. Those few who have scarred our already fledgling reputation do not deserve to be working here. That is why we need permanent regulation and not an outright ban. The farmers I'm privileged to call clients and friends are not gun-toting, savage, dog-owning thugs. They are mothers and fathers working to feed their families. They're volunteers handing out Christmas dinners to the less fortunate. They are the names behind donations to Bret Harte High School and the Resource Connection. They want nothing more than to contribute to this county while earning an honest and legal living, no different than any member of this board. If you adopt this ban, you are throwing the baby out with the bathwater. You are giving up on Calaveras County's best source of economic growth. You are shutting down more than 500 companies, my own included. We are just one of hundreds of new businesses who are sure to follow once the cannabis industry is allowed to flourish once and for all in Calaveras. You have an opportunity to say no to shutting out a multi-million-dollar industry and giving us a fighting chance at the polls in May. I implore you all, let the voters of this county decide. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Diana Fisher, and I live in the Diamond 20, and this is just coming off the top of my head, so I'm very disorganized, but I've heard a lot of stuff I needed to hear today. I sent each of you a letter. Hopefully you've read it. Starting with the first point, it's against federal law. But moving past that, I understand the need for some people to have a legitimate medical marijuana product provided. It's very questionable to me because I'm not familiar with it. How have they been getting it up until now? So I would say, is there any way that we could do, like you do in other industries, a cease and desist until this very complex issue gets some better, more clear boundaries that might help everybody come to a conclusion everyone could live with. Doesn't seem like there's going to be enough money to take care of business, whatever we do, whether we want to continue the way we are now or we want to ban it. There's just not enough. The other thing that I am concerned with, and I think there probably are some people who are well-meaning who want to provide a good product, how is this influenced not only by our inaction for years, but then by the presence, the overpowering presence of outsiders with a lot of money? And how many of those people continue to rent land, to put a lot of money in, to think they can buy their way in? I belong to an organization where issues of significant importance require a 2/3 majority. And so I would vote for some way to, whether banning it is the point right now until we can establish better boundaries, something that is reasonable, that is realistic, that people could vote on. There's a lot of people sitting here with the ban stickers, and what I need to say to you is I'm not hearing from many of you. Are you scared to stand up? Are you scared to shake? Are you scared to maybe say the wrong thing or be confused? We've been run over more than once in this county, and I'll go back to Coppertown Square, by money and outsiders, and most of that square sits empty now. And I'm afraid that that might be part of what's happening here. I've had some very interesting people going up and down my road. I will say that for those of us who can, get responsible. I stand out in the road, I stop their car, I take their picture, and I write down their license plate. I've turned them all in to the police, or I've offered them. They haven't taken any of them. They can't keep up. So thank you for your time, and I trust you to make a decision that will benefit the majority, at least 2/3, whether it's to put a cease and desist until we can get better informed or better organized or create better boundaries. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good morning, our new board. Welcome. Thank you, Peter. My name is Gina Gonzalez, and a lot of you guys probably know me from Facebook. I live in Bar 20. We have 19 commercial growers in Bar 20. I live it every day.
Yeah.
The
Address the
initiative that we
microphone,
have
thank
gotten gathered signatures for is very important to me. It gives the voice of the people. It allows us to educate the public, gives the other side of issue a voice. It gives us a chance to say, look, this is what's happening. When we gathered signatures, we were not rude. I was not disrespectful. I was polite. I did my point by education. That's what we need to do, as both sides need to come together. If we ban it, there's consequences. If we pass legislation, there's consequences. We need to come together at a table and make sure that we both understand why we feel the way we feel. We are all taxpayers. I can tell you from 3 friends of mine that they work for a grower and they pay no taxes, no payroll, no workman's comp, no anything like that. Is that something I want in my taxation code? No. I want them to become legit. If they are not legit, I want them out, and I am first to confront them. I'm first, like she is. I will write down your license number. Those are the people that we need out. We want the people that are legit in here. If they have to be here, it'll be spoken with our vote. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Good morning, Vicki Reinke, Angels Camp. Again, yeah, this is an important issue, and I think a lot of these people aren't getting up because maybe they want to tell their story, and we were told that wasn't the point here. So I'll get on to talking about the election. First, I want to make a couple of comments that this whole issue has been discussed in this county for years. The can's been kicked down the road for years. The whole time I participated and been at meetings. So this isn't new. And the other point is nobody's taking away medical marijuana. You can still grow your own. As a matter of fact, Prop 64 will probably override, and it'll be 6 plants. For anyone over 21 now can grow it. You don't even have to have a medical card anymore. So that issue is off the table. This is about the commercial cultivation and commercial business of marijuana. That is what the people of Calaveras County do not want in our county. And it is our county. That's the beauty of being in America. You get to, and that's why we all live in a small county, because we feel like we have a say in our small county. We live in the Bay Area, a lot of us did. You know, nothing we had to say really got anywhere. So the people here are very passionate about what they believe in. And we do have the right to our own local control. It's in both the MRSA law and the Prop 64 that states that we have the right to our local land use, so that's why we are legally able to ban the cultivation and business of marijuana. The other thing that is quite legal and is in the code is Election Code 9125, and that one is about the fact that when a people's initiative gets signatures and they get approved, it is legal then for the Board of Supervisors, who we elect to represent us, can adopt that. That is perfectly legal. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, I understand that, or we should take it to the voters. Well, here's why I think it's not necessary. We voted on Measure D. 81% of the voters came out for that election. Here's what Measure D, they spent at least $200,000 in our county putting out their message of let's regulate, let's control. They said, make Calaveras safe, would curb the illegal marijuana growing, tough restrictions to keep Calaveras safe, outlaw the outlaws. All of that was part of their campaign. The No on D campaign went out and educated the other side. Here's why we don't agree with that. Guess what? The voters voted it out. They said, no, we don't want this regulation. That's been said by these voters. That's why today, for you to accept this, to adopt this initiative, you're not going against anybody. You're listening to what the people already told you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, new board. Robert Schufelt from the Murphy's Angels area. So we have a ban initiative in front of the board today, and you have three options, which is to adopt the ban, which seems like maybe half the room wants you to, and you have the option to put it on the ballot, which it seems like the other half would prefer. But there's also the third option, which is to order some studies, and I see all these competing sets of facts getting thrown around by both sides of this argument. And it's a pretty stark divide, and the facts are pretty starkly divided, and nobody seems to be working in the same universe, even though we all live in the same little county. We all have, we're just describing two very different pictures. So I would urge you to go with the third option today and take a step back and let's get a consistent set of facts and data in and order a fiscal impact study, see how much it's going to cost to run this ban, and if it's even possible. See what the impact would be onto the local business community. These are all options that you have, and it could really go a long way, in my view, to clearing up and, getting these facts straight, so we don't have two sides that are painting these completely different pictures. And, and I don't discount people's experience. I'm sure that people are having bad experiences out there. People probably have great experiences out there with their grower neighbors, and they're not writing you letters about it because that's not how it works. You don't complain about what you like. So I would urge this board not to adopt the ban. I think that would be a very bad policy and a very bad way to arrive at a bad policy. It should be voted on by the people, and we should probably let the people make more informed votes on it by getting some of these reports done by the department heads so we can have the same set of facts, because we're just talking past each other right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome all of you. Susan Morse, Angels Camp. I've been sitting here throughout these meetings practically since I moved here full-time about a year and a half ago. And I've listened to all of the arguments and discussions. Obviously, most of you weren't here before. But today is about the election. And I hear people talking about that we're going to take away medical marijuana. No, this is about commercial marijuana. It's not about medical marijuana. And for all of you here to know, I would not want my medicine taken away. I am a juvenile diabetic, type 1. I rely on insulin every minute of my life, forever. Without it, I will be dead within hours, days, short days. That's it. So I have huge compassion for medical. as far as the initiative is concerned, when the gatherers, the circulators gathered signatures, every voter who signed that petition had the opportunity to read the entire context of that initiative. So it wasn't that they never knew what it said in it. And I believe also it was on the internet. It was available. It was available in the county. So I think everyone's had notice of what it said in it. Your decision today is whether we're going to adopt, you would adopt it, or whether you put it on the ballot. These signatures, the number of signatures that qualified, that number is not derived by the registrar of voters here in Calaveras County. That is by state election law. How they validate the signatures is by state election law. The law could have said that they needed to look at every 5,500 signatures. And I'm sure they would have done it. The law provides for how many signatures they are to certify. So it's not a matter of the registrar, the county, or whatever. They're doing what the California law says they're supposed to do. The initiative process also is provided, I believe, by the Constitution. So that's a right. Your right to decide today whether you can enact a ban or not, that's all provided by California law also. So that's provided for. And that is, you're representing the people. So the people's options are being met. As many of you have, I went way longer than I thought, as many of you have heard today, this thing is a big mess. It's sickening. It's been a mess for a year and a half. We need to end it. If you don't ban it today.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Time's up.
You could wait just for a second.
Thanks a lot for coming by. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, board is coming on lunchtime, 12 o'clock. Are we going to be taking an hour? Or you want to take an hour and a half? She started at 8.
What everybody else wants to do.
Hour?
I think an hour would suffice.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be breaking at 12 o'clock for a 1-hour lunch. We'll continue with this speaker. At that time, we'll break for lunch.
Thank you. Richard Perez. Good afternoon, board. It's a reoccurring theme that I hear, that the will of the people have been assessed when that's not true. The will of the percentage that was assessed has been noted. The option to attempt to ban via emergency ordinance is there, but the option would do nothing but put Calaveras on the back burner of this ever-growing inevitable movement. Calaveras legislation needs to focus on picking up and adopting the newest regulation methods being proven effective by the rest of the law-abiding cannabis cultivating counties around the country, i.e. track and trace. That is all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to break for lunch, and we'll be back at 1 o'clock. Please be ready to go sharply at 1.